Yeah, mine's up.
I will call the meeting to order. Welcome to the JEDO Board of Directors meeting for Wednesday, September 14th. I'll start again.
Dang it again.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the JEDO Board of Directors meeting for September 14th. Megan, please do the roll call.
Commissioner Bueller?
Present.
Commissioner Cook?
Present.
Commissioner Archer?
Here.
Mayor Wolcast?
Here.
Deputy Mayor De La Isla?
Here.
Councilmember Cohen?
Here.
Councilmember Clear?
Here.
Councilmember Hiller?
Here.
Councilmember Ortiz? Councilmember Emerson? Councilmember Jensen?
Present.
Councilmember Schwartz? Councilmember Harmon?
Okay, thank you. At this time, I have received a request from the company with item number 6 to pull this item from tonight's agenda. JEDO was advised that the company felt it was premature to address the agreement at tonight's meeting. So action item 6 is pulled. We will begin with action item 3.
Item 3, approval of May 11th, 2016 JEDO Board meeting minutes.
Hopefully everyone has had a chance to review the minutes. There's a motion by Deputy Mayor De La Isla.
Second.
Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Cook. Discussion? And if I'm correct, there's no one that signed up for this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item 4.
Item 4, approval of May 18th, 2016 JEDO Board meeting minutes.
Are there questions or changes?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer and second by Deputy Mayor De La Isla. Discussion? And there's no one signed up for this action item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, action item.
Item 5, approval of Mars Project Storm contract.
Thank you, JEDO Board. If you will remember, in July of 2015, we requested funding for the Mars incentive agreement. It was under the name of Project Storm to be funded. This is just the contract for approval of that incentive agreement, but the funding's already been approved.
Thank you. Barbara, other questions? I'll entertain a motion first. We do have one person signed up for public comment. Is there a motion? And second by Councilmember Cohen. Scott Griffiths is signed up to speak on this item.
Excuse me, I'll respectfully decline. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item 6 has been pulled. Item 7 is presentation.
Item 7, JEDO Finance Committee second quarter cash statement 2016.
Good evening. Betty Greiner. I am the treasurer for the JEDO Finance Committee, and I'm here to give you the cash statement report for the first 6 months of 2016 for JEDO, and I will just hit some highlights. For the first 6 months of the year, we received $7,463,935 of tax receipts. On the disbursement side, we paid Topeka Boulevard Bridge interest for the first half of the year of $45,525. For the Southwest 21st Street project from Urish Road to Indian Hills, we paid $3,587,718. This is the last project The city requested all of the funds to be paid up front since it will be completed this year. We also paid Shawnee County $1.5 million for county bridges. To go to Topeka, we paid $2.5 million. And then we have a total bank balance on June 30 of $11,642,789.56. Are there any questions?
Any questions, Mayor? Anyone have any questions? Okay. Thank you. That's just a presentation item, so there's no action. But item number 8 is an action item.
Item 8, approval of JEDO 2015 financial statements and auditor's report.
Yes, I'm here to present the 2015 audit report for JEDO. I will mention that the audit is prepared on the accrual basis, which means the tax receipts for November and December are included in these numbers, although they were not received until 2016. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Other questions from JEDO board? I have no one that is signed up for this item. So if there are no questions. So motion by Deputy Mayor De La Isla.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cook. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Betty. Item 9.
Item 9, overview of second quarter report and current quarter activities.
I know. When you guys see me coming to the podium, everybody's eyes roll, and they say, here goes this guy that's going to talk forever and ever. So I promise I won't talk too long. First of all, I would just like to thank each and every one of you, our elected leaders, and for putting faith in us to do economic development, but we could not do it without you. Economic development is very much a team sport, and if you find a successful community, you will find a lot of folks working on it together. Before I kind of turn it over to our team, though, I do want to tell you I've reported to you before the things that sort of keep me up at night, and I just want to review those with you one more time. Our community pride, our community's image, our brand identity, our workforce, our young talent, our population growth, our legislative success, our quality of life, entrepreneurship and small business. And then the other thing, too, that I think is just getting so fantastic is working better together. I would also like to just take a hat off for our team, our staff team that you're going to hear from. They've been burning the candle at both ends. And I'm looking forward to days when we have we have stronger metrics and we have stronger strategic plans so that we're working smart in addition to hard. The other thing that I want to say is I feel it's important to thank Scott Smathers, who's in the crowd. He has spent 3 years making an incredible contribution to Shawnee County and to Topeka in the economic development area. He's just been great to work with. You see him here tonight because we still have our hooks in him, and we do congratulate him on his new career, but we're very excited that he's not going to be too far. So we really appreciate all the work that he's done. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our staff experts. Thank you.
Thank you. Technology never works when we want it to, right? Well, while we get that pulled up, I did want to make sure that I shared with you first and introduced you officially to Jackie Carlson, who is our new Director of Business Retention and Expansion. Jackie will stand. Just wanted to tell you briefly that, she comes to us with a wonderful background, both from the city side as well as the county side. She was most recently with the city of Riverside in Missouri, and prior to that, she was also with Wyandotte County Economic Development Council. She has developed BRE programs before, so we're very excited to have her. And I know that's not previous business and not second quarter reporting, but it still gives you an idea and a snapshot. So just as a reminder, you already, of course, had the second quarter report. I just wanted to let you see what had occurred both in existing business and workforce development during the second quarter. You've seen that we have the rescue mission and the bus passes that we're continuing to grow that. We're up to 53 that have been issued year to date. And as a reminder, that's helped those individuals that are at the rescue mission have transportation to either interviews or jobs, so that we're helping to assist them in finding viable work. We've got the Financial Services Summit that's coming up in October. And of course, as a reminder, because it's the second quarter report, we had up to 228 new jobs and $30 million invested in the projects that we had completed in the second quarter of 2016. So.
Good evening. I will just touch on a couple highlights for the new business report for second quarter. We have about 27 projects in the pipeline in the second quarter, and 7 of those were new. Still heavy on the advanced systems technology industry, which is higher end manufacturing. We had 4 site visits and 1 formal incentive proposal. So that's pretty on par for a quarter, and we're about the same pace for this quarter so far. I did want to share with you that you guys have heard a lot about the updates with our website and marketing materials, and we received an award from the Southern Economic Development Council for a website award for content and functionality. So that was a great testament to the work that was done for that, and we had a great team behind that project. We also, this is just kind of a funny, and it would be a great visual if I had it, but I didn't know how to pass it around. Most of the time when we get our leads, they're blind copied and we don't know who else we're competing with, but one of our industry partners sent a request for proposal out to us with all of the people that were receiving it in the carbon copy. So we could see this list. Well, I printed the email, and it was a page and a half of all these different emails from all these different communities. So it's just a really good visual for you guys to see that that's just from one regional hub. So a project could go out to 4 or 5 regional hubs, and then they each have a page and a half of communities that we're competing against. So if you ever want to just see that quick visual sometime, I'll let you know and show it to you. But you know, that's the game that we play with new business attraction. So I know it seems like a slow go, but we're plugging ahead, and at least we are on that list and do have the assets to compete for those projects. So any questions? All right, thanks.
Thank you, Paul.
Good evening, everyone. So I want to talk to you a little bit about our performance during the last quarter. We kicked off Blue Ribbon Academies earlier this year. We thought that what it would do would impact the learning of the small business, and also a lot of corporations took advantage of it. So last quarter we did the HR training academies, and we had a number of participants there. We had about 130 participants, and what they did was they learned about HR, different things that were out there that were going on. We talked to them about the new FSLA. Is that right? FSLA. There you go. That new law that was going to be in place, and so we wanted to get them education, and this really was functional, and it worked for us. We also, during the quarter, had a new venture class. 9 people participated in that class. 7 of those individuals started a business, and it is functional, and I will send you their names so that you can shop at their location. Jobs created and retained, we worked on that. We wanted to make sure that we focused on the number of jobs that we created during the quarter. The total business starts and the growth that we kind of worked with was about 29. Our jobs created and retained were about 105 employee impacts. So that means that either we impacted their employees in one way or the other, or they brought on new employees. Our small business visits, we are on the ground, Marianne and I, making sure that we touch small business. We visited about 89 businesses last quarter, just talking to them about what their needs were, promoting the incentive package and the loan fund as well. And We did a lot of outreach in different areas, participating in a lot of things around the community. Our social media growth is substantial. It helped us reach the people that we wouldn't generally meet. So our social media growth is about 20% last quarter, up 40% overall year to date. So I wanted to share that with you. And then also what we haven't done in a while is we haven't given you any information on 712, and I bet you're wondering what they were doing. So I'm going to call our per individual up to talk a little bit about 712 Innovations. And this is Karen. Karen is the executive, not new anymore, but the executive director for 712.
Hi, it's wonderful to meet you all and present for the first time here. My name's Karen Christoulis, and I am the Executive Director. Been there about 7 months now at 712 Innovations. And I'd also like to recognize Carl Klein. He's our board chair. He's in the office there, and he's the director of the Washburn Small Business Development Center. So I have a fantastic board, and I'm glad Carl's here. At 712, just a brief snapshot that we have 125 members now with us, and that breaks down and represents 37 startups who are calling 712 home and officing directly out of the center. In addition to that, we have 14 small businesses in our community who have storefronts, such as Hazel Hill Chocolate or Moberts, who are members and utilize the services that we have at 712, and those are especially important to those members as well. Our partnerships still include the Washburn Washburn School of Business, and also the entrepreneurial classes. The clinic there is held out of 712. But in addition to that, for our members at large and also the general community, we have about 20 classes, both in business and on the equipment, that are taught each month right there at 712, and about half of those are open to the general public. The ones that are for members only, those are free to members, and that's part of their membership. September, we are beginning, hopefully tomorrow, our passes with the Topeka Shawnee County Public Library, and that will allow all of our community to check out an experience at the library for free, and that experience is a week at 712 where they can do a project, train on equipment, try to understand if this is the right place for them, because we do get a lot of questions about a trial membership and for free, and that's totally for free, and it's sponsored by our partner, the library. So we're excited about that beginning. And then on October 5th will be our first 1 million cups, our fast pitch sessions, which we have been holding. We applied and were accepted under the Kauffman Foundation's program, 1 million cups, and so we're a partner with the Kauffman Foundation. And on October 5th, those 1 million cup sessions will begin the first Wednesday of every month there at 712. And currently we have a waiting list to rent office space for 712. So we're looking into that. So thank you, Glenda.
Madam Chair,
Karen, stand for questions.
how long is the waiting list?
The waiting list includes about 4 companies. Some of them, most of them need a larger space than we have. We have 1 table in an office suite of 3 available, and they themselves need either 2, 3, and then up to 7 spaces just for those offices. So we can't accommodate any of them.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Good. Any other questions?
Oh, I have one.
Yes, sure.
Don't need to keep running away.
So do they just, do people just show up with their library card then at your door, and then how does that work?
Sure. Actually, how that will work is we have actually 6 librarians. They rotate one day, one afternoon rather right now, and they're looking at the hours so they can accommodate this. But they rotate through, and so those passes will be available during the time the libraries are present with us. Right now it's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday afternoons that they're there. And so the librarians will be trained on the equipment that they'll be able to use, and so they'll be doing the training if they need that, or helping with resources. And if they just need computer access, of course, that is there, and some things that don't need training, if they just want a space.
Very good. Yeah, I think you have one more question.
All right, thank you.
Do you have an idea of the economic impact that these businesses are having in our community?
I know that there is an impact. I don't have metrics for the numbers of that, but I do know that there are about, in that, those numbers, those 51 members that have businesses that are represented, there are about 300-plus jobs that are represented by those individuals. So more to come, but we're growing, and we look for that number to get bigger.
Madam Chair. If you don't mind, Madam Chair.
Sure.
Do you have a grant process for low to no income folks? And if so, how many of those have you issued?
We don't have a grant process. We have what's now called a service membership. And so the service membership is an application, and it's for 1 year. Someone can become a member of 712 at just $20. The basic membership for the general public is $50. And so for $20, then there are a couple of services that we match the person with what they're able to do best to kind of help us at there. So we don't have a grant, though. That'll be one thing as we move forward that I look for businesses to help sponsor us for that sort of thing, to sponsor membership or to also sponsor awards for innovation and creation on business, that sort of thing. But
How many of those do you have working now?
sure, we have 7 members working right now, and I'm sorry, I forgot that
No
part.
problem. Okay, thank you.
Karen, so if the public wants to know more about 712, where do they go?
They go to our website, and all of the things that I've spoken about are listed there. There's a public side to the website and a member side to the website, but for the general public, it talks about classes that are available, as well as what are hours that we're staffed, so they can come see if they want to do that, or the library. The library information is getting ready to go up at the end of this week, so that's the only part that's not currently on there right now.
Okay, great, thank you.
That was refreshing, right?
Yes.
So we didn't think they were doing anything over there. I'd like the ones that are haven't been to 712, I invite you to go over and take a look at all the activity that's going on and get some more information, get a little deeper into what is happening at 712. So now I want to talk to you about something that you gave me permission to do at the beginning of last quarter. And I was so excited. I was nervous when I came up because I thought you all wouldn't approve it. But I'm so excited today to tell you that the Small Business Incentive program has been extremely successful, extremely successful. So you have the numbers before you, the information before you.
And Barbara, I don't want to squelch your enthusiasm, but we need to officially, we're finished with the presentation,
Okay.
correct?
Yes.
And so let's read into the record item 10, which is an action item. I'm sorry.
Item 10, request for continuation of small business incentives.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So I'm still enthusiastic. So this program has really made a tremendous impact on the community. So what you see before you is my report. We helped start 12 new businesses with this program. Job impacted, or those jobs that were created as a result of this program, were 19 full-time and 11 part-time jobs. So we've been tracking that. We wanted to make sure that you knew where the money was going. We dispersed about $70,000, which is going to be sort of 50-50 between the two, existing and the start. Existing businesses that received incentives were 28. Their jobs impacted were 64 full-time and 51 part-time. And then the dollars dispersed were almost even, $77,000. Now here's the breakdown for the business mix. Most of them, as you see, were service businesses. 18 retail and 22 service businesses. The biggest month of disbursement, as you can see again, was the month of June. And then total clients, or total clients that received disbursement, were 40. So we worked really hard to get the message on the street. We didn't realize that between the 1st of March and late August or the first part of August, that we would be out of money, but we are out of money. And people are talking about this program, how it's helped grow their business, how it's helped impact their business. So if I can read you, and I know my time is limited, but I would like to read you one. I got a letter today. She said she couldn't come, but she said, "Dear JEDO," and she had a lot of good things to say about the program, but mostly she said, it's Dandelions. Dandelions opened in July 2016. Thanks to the generous matching funds for renovation and equipment, I have a colorful, inviting studio that kids and parents love. It is fully equipped with everything that I need, crafting and for running a business. In the 2 months that I've been open, I've had so many parents and grandparents thank me for bringing this to the community. I want to pass this along to you and thank you. I wouldn't be here without you. Your funding is absolutely necessary for business owners to achieve their dreams while enhancing our community. She said she would love for you to come by and visit her. She's located in the Brookwood Shopping Center. Okay, so my request to you is that we continue this program and that you allow us to get $150,000 more out of our rollover funds. We have about $850,000 in our rollover budget, and I'm requesting to you that we continue this program throughout this year to support other businesses. We have probably about 5 complete packets that are in my desk, and we have 20 that are waiting for me to tell them to go ahead and complete your package and get it back to me. So that's how important this is to our community.
Thank you. Questions?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Glenda?
Yes.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what types of retail, what types of service, what does that really mean?
Okay, I will, I just happen to have my list. So what retail looks like is, or Norseman Brewing Company is a service/retail. The Open Window over in Noto, Forbes Landscape, a service business. Those kinds of companies, and most of them are small. Paradise Donuts, a lot of you have seen that. Harris & Sons, Dandelions, as I said, Bunker Coffee. So you know those names. These are not foreign names to us in the community. We know who they are. I have the list right here if you want me to share it with you of those individual kinds of businesses that have taken advantage of the program.
Madam Chair, for me?
Yes.
Is this spread out to just one part of the community?
No.
Or do we really see this across the entire?
You see it across the entire community. This is a county program. This is not a City of Topeka program.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I would request that we have a list. I think it'd be helpful, and it's public
I
funds. So
just
that-
so
not
happened-
tonight. I mean, you don't need to provide it, but in the future, if we
I
can
have one for
that.
everyone. I can email it to you, Mayor,
Yeah.
if you'd like.
I think to the board,
I will.
to all the.
I will do that.
To all the members of the JEDO board.
I made a copy for each of you, but I will email it so that you
Thank
won't
you.
have to take the paper.
Thank you. Further questions for Glenda? Yes?
Are these in, I guess, some of those names that you said, are they in buildings? Are they
Yes.
businesses in buildings, or are they
Yes.
like traveling?
They are buildings and buildings.
As Commissioner Cook said, they're all across?
All across the community.
Yeah, do you have the locations also on your list?
I have the locations, I have the date that we gave them, the incentive, I have their email address if you want to talk to them. I have when we processed it and exactly how much we gave them for each request.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
it's very thorough, and I'll get it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Another question? Actually, Deputy Mayor, did you have a question?
Thank you, Chairman. Glenda, I am just so excited to hear about this. One of the biggest concerns that we've had for a long time is that the chamber really was focusing on just one group, and that there were so many individuals in such need of support. Small business is the backbone of our economy.
Right.
We love our primary industries. We know that we cannot survive without them, and we're doing a huge, great job with that. But we also had this side, and I think that it would be a travesty if we do not approve this, especially knowing that we have so many people on queue. So with that, I know that there's more comments, but I would be happy to make a motion for approval.
There's a motion.
I'd be happy to second.
There's a second by Commissioner Archer. And further discussion or comments, I think. Councilman.
Actually, I just wanted to say, if you have the print copies already, I would love to have it and take it with me today.
Bring it with.
Yeah, no reason why you can't.
I would
hand
print it
out
off at
and
home, but she's
email.
already got it.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Do you have a comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a vote on this, but I just want to encourage everyone to approve it. This is the difference between starting a small business and launching a small business to these folks. So it's critically important to the success of this sector in our community, which is where most of the job growth is going to be in the immediate future. So again, I'll echo the comments of Deputy Mayor De La Isla. It's a travesty if we don't support it. Absolutely.
Councilmember Cohen, do you have a comment?
You had $148,000, and
I had $150,000. I got a couple of pennies left.
And is that,
Yes, sir.
and you ran out of money. Is there any reason why we don't increase this amount from
Well,
your
in my
rollover
budget for
funds?
next year,
For the
I've
next
asked
year?
for an increase. So next year, you'll see me asking for more than $150,000.
Okay.
Okay.
And again, for clarification, this is from the rollover funds within your budget.
Yes.
Further discussion or comments? We do have 3 people signed up for public comment on this action item. Mr. Ledbetter? And after that, we have Mr. Lizone Graves.
Governing body, thank you. I like this item, and I too support it. One of the things I like about it is the number of businesses that helped. Small business is obviously the backbone of this economy and the nation's economy, actually. To take the money out of rollover funds, which are basically sitting idle, is especially useful. I don't think you should have these monies sitting idle, and that amount represents 1 year and about 60% of another year in that section of their budget. So I like the idea of using it. I like the fact that it went to 40 different businesses, and it went out rapidly. And it's that rapidity of getting these dollars into the economy that really helps see a result. I'm not going to go into economics, but it really does help when you see dollars getting out to the people quickly, and not claiming you have a stimulus budget when it's not a stimulus and you don't see the jobs for 7 years. Just saying. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
I support this.
Thank you. Mr. Lizone Graves? And then after that, Mr. Scott Griffiths?
Good evening, members of the JEDO. First, nothing that I am about to say has anything to do with the performance of Mrs. Washington, Topeka, or whomever. What I've shared with you on the second page is a copy of your interlocal agreement, and I put some underlines and some star on a few things here, especially in the definition of economic development. And then on the second page, or the third page, is where it's highlighted as far as that 10% that we're talking about. It said the 10% of the $5 million will be targeted to support economic development for socially and economically disadvantaged individuals and/or businesses. Nowhere in the definition of economic development or in this clause right here does it say small, women, or minority businesses. I mean, I've also shared with you a copy of what the definition of a small business is. Instagram could have been a small business even though they were bought by Facebook for $1 billion. In your own agreement that you deliberated on and passed, back to the third page, It didn't say that 10% would be, or 50% of the 10% would be targeted to socially and economically disadvantaged businesses. And that's probably good, because if we just focus on small women and minority businesses, then Oprah, Martha Stewart, and Denzel Washington would be eligible for them. But it seems that within your own directive and your own agreement, that these funds are supposed to be targeted to those who are socially and economically disadvantaged. Who is this population? And I provided that to you on the first page. And the reason that this is of interest to me is because, I had a stake in having these funds made available for targeted businesses to try to utilize to drive down the poverty numbers, the targeted unemployment, and things of that nature there. Again, nothing against Ms. Washington or the Chamber. She's a professional. If you ask a professional to get you somewhere, they're going to get you where you say. If the destination happened to be the wrong place, they're still going to get you there. When the 10% is totally majority used for business, but the definition of economic development is inclusive of workforce training and expansion, and your definition, the only targeted demographic in your definition and in that 10% clause are socially and economically disadvantaged individuals and businesses. And now they have youth in there just as well. I don't know how I got off base. So many times the title can change the whole direction, but that doesn't mean that that was not the intent of where you had voted and you wanted monies to target. Who would be the socially and economically disadvantaged individuals? I've shared it with you. Those receiving cash assistance, eligible and receiving public housing, food assistance, maybe voc rehab, and those who have children in the household who are eligible for free or reduced lunch. Not all veterans or disabled persons are actually socially and economically disadvantaged. If there are $4.5 million, maybe there needs to be something to rededicate a portion of those funds to target for those individuals who are not socially and economically disadvantaged, whom you actually targeted the monies for in your own agreement. Is that the time? Could I request additional time, please? 3 minutes?
Is there a motion to allow 3 more minutes?
Oh, so
Motion by Deputy Mayor.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Clear. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? 3 minutes.
Thank you for your time. I don't know how to deal with this. I've heard the comments so that you want this to proceed, and I do want it to proceed for the sanctity of small businesses just as well. But what you had agreed upon in your interlocal agreement, a legal document, is that you would target those monies for those who are socially and economically disadvantaged. How do you choose who those individuals are if you don't have a working definition of who are the socially and economically disadvantaged? Most of the time, if you want certifications from the federal government, you have to go through some type of a test to make sure that there aren't any false fronts. There are some definitions out there for socially and economically disadvantaged. I think that having 100% of the 10% used just for business sort of negates when your own wording, if it's for those socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. For individuals, I guess that would mean workforce training and expansion, which is a part of your definition, which funds have never been used for. I really would like to just sort of take this to heart, because it's your agreement on who you are, say that you wanted to target these funds for. So that if dollars that were meant for the socially and economically disadvantaged per your agreement are not going to those individuals, if I had a contract with you and someone called me out on it, that would be a breach of my contract, because I am not spending the money on the people that was within the agreement. Like I said, I don't know. I don't want to slow down the assistance for small, women, or minority businesses. But the socially and economically disadvantaged individuals and businesses, which is within your agreement, which is where the dollars are supposed to be targeted for. I think that you should have to come up with some type of application, test, certification, to assure that you're providing monies to the individual that, in your own agreement, that you said that the dollars were targeted for. On that email that I sent to myself, I've just shared with you some information for you to consider. You know, for a small business, you can make under $7.5 million and be a small business. Are the 10% really targeting those individuals? Do you really just want to target women and minority businesses? Those who may not be social or economically disadvantaged, or those individuals? I would like for the JEDO to uphold its own agreement and dedicate those funds to the target population. That you deliberated on the wording and you passed your agreement.
Thank you. And our third person is Scott Griffith.
Good evening. Good to see you all. It's been a while. I've missed being here. Not serious. But tonight, thank you for what you do. As always, I know you've got a lot of things going on in your lives, and committing yourself to our community as county commissioners and city council people is important. And I think what we're seeing tonight is a good representation of that collaboration, the public-private partnership. So thank you for that. I wish I could exhibit Glenda's enthusiasm. I can't quite do that, but I do want to acknowledge and recognize her and her team for a job well done. These monies that have been spent to date have made a difference in a lot of small businesses and a lot of individuals' lives. The real test, I think, is going to be 3, maybe 4 or 5 years down the road, and we are going to keep an eye on it. We're going to be watching these companies, and we're going to be looking back, and we're going to find out where they are. Have they grown? Have they gone out of business? So we don't know the end results at this time, but we're going to keep an eye on it, and I wanted you to know that. But Glenda and her team, and she's got a team behind her with Matt's support and leadership there at the Chamber in Topeka, they've accomplished a great deal. So I appreciated the positive comments that I heard this evening about that program, and I also support and encourage your voting in favor of continuing with that with some rollover dollars. And I might just, as a reminder, I do believe the money that's been spent to date came out of the general monies and did not come out of the EMBD funds for the first amount that has been spent. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a question for Scott?
No, Madam Chair, I have a question for you. Would it be appropriate, even though the item has been closed, for me to make a comment with regards to the item?
We still have discussion, so we have not taken a vote yet.
Wonderful. I would just like to add a few things. I love when people come up and stand up for things that we believe in our community. But I don't want, at the same token, for us to be confused with regards to the efforts that have been ongoing currently to work with those areas that are socioeconomically challenged. To mention just a few, I've been very privileged to participate with Ms. Barbara Stapleton in some of her efforts working with all of the companies that are on the southwest corridor of our community, the primary industries, as we have roundtables and work on how to engage high school students, specifically from organizations that are socioeconomically challenged, to participate in applying and getting them connected with Washburn Techs. In addition to that, we have a program with Highland Park, which is a robotics program, specifically that whole demographic in that school, extremely low income. Topeka Public Schools has a great partnership with this group, and the effort is just to get students in through the pipeline so that they could go right back and be job ready as soon as they're done. The organization also is starting a Diversity and Inclusion Council. They are participants of the Hermanitas Conference, which focuses solely on girls that are middle school and high school that are from low economic status in their schools, selected by their counselors. They also get some support by that. The organization also is involved with Kansas Works. Kansas Works specifically has a consortium that has Voc Rehab, the TANF group, the Veterans group. Furthermore, there's also 712 Innovations, which we just talked about the great things that they're doing. And finally, my colleague here reminded me that the impetus of including socioeconomically disadvantaged individuals to this contract was because our city manager had requested that we had an additional $1.5 million this year as we were doing negotiations for the contract to focus solely on our community and how we were going to take those programs into the the community. So I really do look forward, Linda, for us to have better, and new reports, because this is going to be a brand new program that is supposed to start in 2017, how we're going to be tackling those areas and taking, of course, into account the great comments that we receive from the public.
Thank you. Further discussion? There has been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Next item is item 11.
Item 11, update on East Topeka Learning Center.
And Barbara, I think we have you and some guests as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. First, I would like to just introduce Dean Clark Coco, who is the Dean of Washburn University's Technical Institute, as well as Clayton Tatro, Assistant Dean of Instruction. And I'll have them introduce it first, and then we'll follow up on that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Good evening. And thank you for allowing us to come visit. Got to watch this. Old coach has a hard time talking in 10 minutes, so I'll go quick. All right. Dr. Tatro, of course, obviously, is Dean of Instruction at our campus. Several months ago, 8, 9, 10 months ago, we were approached about an idea of possibly delivering some technical education on the east side of Topeka. It was prefaced with the idea of CDL. Started with CDL. We need CDL. Look in the paper. We need CDL. And we started with a conversation about CDL and blossomed from there. What I think we do and do well is in the delivery of what we do, it's student-centered. It's about students. Many years ago, as a young educator in the classroom, I was asked, why do you teach? I said, I can't find better company. And the truth is, that's the truth, is that we're student-centered. We want it to be about students. We're teacher-focused. We're very intimate with our students. We're very driven. If you've been on our campus, you've seen that and seen the interaction of that. Meeting community needs. Okay, we have many things that we need to do for the community and meet community needs. We've been approached in the last 12 months with we needed emergency communications, people to work with the 911 center. We put that on the campus. That is now up and running. We need EMTs. We put that on the campus. That is now up and running. We need cosmetologists. About that one. And we are up and running with cosmetologists. And so the responsiveness and the nimbleness of tech ed is a very unique thing. So the idea of reaching out to the east side of our community was one of the things was to strive to reduce the barriers and even the perceived barriers to post-secondary education and where we were going to offer it on the east side of our community. And of course, our goal, of course, is to train people for the workforce, get them ready for the workforce, and supply the workforce for the folks that you're talking about in economic development, and also for the folks that are here already in economic development. On what programs we talked about initially, I'm going to let Dr. Tatro talk about the academic side of things. He'll talk about CDL and other programs.
Absolutely. Well, you think about the programs that we're proposing to offer. The programs really are the currency. The programs are the curriculum. The programs make it possible to do the certificates and the certifications that come with that in terms of CDL, those pieces that way. But it's important to know that we've got to have the wraparound services as well. We've got to have the support services that go with that. We can offer the greatest curriculum in the world, and if we don't have the support systems to go with that and bolster students and bring them up, then we're not going to be successful in that offering. So as we talk about commercial truck driving, we have already implemented 2 different programs within the same umbrella. We have a 6-week program, which is 240 hours in length. We have a 2-week program, which is about 80 hours in length. If they want to be across the board in terms of over the road, they're going to need that 240-hour program. They're going to be able to go to directly to the major carriers, the Swifts, the Trans Ams, the Werners, and that type of thing. The short certificate would be for the box trucks, the Class B. It would be for those folks that want to drive the dump truck, those pieces as well. When you look at commercial truck driving, it's estimated that over the next 10 years, 240,000 jobs are going to be needed in that area. Truck driving is the #3 demand occupation in the state of Kansas right now. So that's an extremely important part of what we're doing. Building technology, construction trades. If you've seen some recent reports from the Associated General Contractors, you know that there's a huge need for that. We're looking at putting commercial construction over on the east side as well. Healthcare technology. Healthcare really is that gateway to get those students involved and invested in terms of being able to further their education in the healthcare field. So we're talking about the CNA, Certified Nurse Assistant, CMA, home health care, home health aide as well. Adult education and literacy services, that's GED, but it's more than GED. It goes beyond that. It's the basic skills, it's the building blocks, being able to do that as well. And then working with Washburn University and what we would call the 17th Street campus, being able to do what adults belong in college, the remediation, the developmental skills, the support systems, information literacy, financial literacy, reading, writing, mathematics, et cetera, that way. So those are the programs that definitely lead into the services.
A couple things on the CDL. We've had 2 school districts contact us, the Shawnee County school districts, wanting to know about drivers for bus driving. Okay, the GED program. Want to talk about how we've exceeded our numbers there?
Sure, absolutely. We've been very fortunate to work with Topeka 501 and actually take over their GED program that's already on our campus. In the first 6 months of us operating that program, we hit 150% of our target goal in terms of the number of participants participating. We operate a program called AOK in the state of Kansas, Accelerating Opportunities in Kansas. That is a unique program in the state which allows students to pair up GED education with a technical trade and technical programming. And their state, the state actually pays for the technical training as well as the GED. So they take the GED in the morning and their technical skills in the afternoon, or vice versa. So we've had a lot of success with GED and really believe strongly that that's part of our mission as Washburn Tech to reach out to adult basic ed and GED students.
So the investment for Washburn University and Washburn Tech, kind of wrap it around, goes this way, is that we're going to provide academic and career advising. We do that now. We're going to expand that. We're going to expand the course offerings and have opportunities across the community. Financial literacy is involved in that. We have a workforce skills program now. We have a pilot grant for teaching the soft skills, as some of us refer to, or the employment skills needed. That program will also come along with this. Information literacy and technology, literacy and understanding technology to the workplace. Mentoring, we all need that. Many of us can look back at the mentors of which led us to where we are today. Great mentoring program. Military, we are a military-friendly university, a military-friendly campus, or Washburn Tech. Tutoring services through our Advantage Center are something that we brought in the last year and a half or so. And then also the School of Applied Studies and the School of Nursing are coming with us also to do continual screening and assessments along with this opportunity to come to the east side. We know that our responsibility is operating costs and daily operations of a facility on the east side of the community. So, partnering with Washburn Tech University, the benefits, and we've all probably can list many benefits, working with our community and organizational agencies. East side location is much more convenient in certain areas for if you're on the bus routes and people taking buses and when they leave and being available on the east side of the community, provide new training programs as they come to us. As I say, we're fairly nimble and we can react pretty quick to opportunities in training. Long-term benefits, I think that is, I often say, if you heard me speak other places and times, hope has a face. And stop and think about that. Hope has a face. And I mean by that is that when you come in and you think you want to do something, you want to get into a program, you get into that program, you start to have success in that program, and whether it be a short-term program, a semester program, or your program or two, you leave. Okay, you leave with a career set. And ladies and gentlemen, that builds hope, and I strongly believe that. And so we believe we can do that. New training programs in the community, long-term benefits, I think we can talk about that. Reaching our population of underrepresented groups, possibly not being served, making ourselves more available. We have worked with the Heartland Works, and the process of working with Heartland Works on workplace and workforce. We are doing what we call Tech Town. Tech Town is where we take us to a location. So think about taking 8 or 9 or 10 programs to a location and showing what we do. We're going to go, we believe we're going to the Antioch Center.
Right, either October 6th or October 13th, looking at doing some east side kickoff, whether or not this project moves forward. But the idea of working with agencies on the east side to bring our programs and showcase our programs over on the east side. Clark has initiated a plan and a program called Tech Town, and basically that gives us an opportunity opportunity to take little snippets and vignettes from several different programs out to the students so they get some real hands-on experience of what those programs really are like. So we want to do that on the east side as well.
Okay. You up, Barbara? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. Just to wrap it up, I want to mention a couple of things. First, we would be remiss if we didn't recognize that one of our community members, Mr. Lizone Grays, originally came to us with this idea and shared that, hey, there needs to be more of this on the east side. And so I think it's important in terms of the partnerships with the community that we have that we acknowledge that. And as Matt mentioned earlier, to acknowledge that, Scott Smathers did a lot of work on the beginning side of this. And so just to mention that in terms of where it's come to and where we're at now, this kind of gives you a wrap up for it. It lets you know that, where our next steps are, what we're looking for, how we'll be presenting to you when we bring a request in the future. I'll let you know that there has been a site location that's been secured. There is not any funding that's occurred with that. We have until February of 2017 to complete that, but just to have that awareness that we've moved to that point. And I would like if you could take just a moment to allow Mr. Alonzo Harrison to also, provide you a little bit more detail of where we're coming from, particularly on the east side and what we're doing.
Great.
Good evening. Thank you guys for allowing me and extending me a few moments to visit with you. I want to say a couple of things. First of all, we are a business that's been around in Topeka for 58 years, every day. Not me, my father started the company. And I say that to say that there is a commitment to everyone in the city of Topeka to commit to paying their half-cent sales tax. I have been a part of this since it was a small quarter-cent sales tax, and now it's grown. The call to the question, however, is whether or not everyone in the city is benefiting. The primary jobs, the economic development to have jobs, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 is great, fantastic. But one of the concerns has always been the ability to get to those jobs. By developing these economic engines and opportunities in the eastern portion of the city, you allow people there to get there. You allow, through access, through proximity, an underserved population, a whole pool of human capital to grow, develop, that's largely untouched. I think some of the underlying conditions that give rise to the outward acts of violence around here is based on inability to do some other things, have other options. You're creating a great other option that I think makes good sense. It's a great investment. I think, again, that it'll allow everyone a true opportunity, that undisturbed eastern portion of the city, to at least get an opportunity to participate and create a career ladder and enhance the quality of life for the balance of the city as well. So having said that, I could go on forever, but I think there's other things to be said, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do you have anything else, Barbara? I know we look forward to hearing more about this project and hopefully some action before us very soon. So thank you all for being here. This was a presentation item, so there's no action. And we'll move to item 12.
If I could ask a question, just to clarify, did I understand correctly from Dean Coco and company that this outreach and class offerings are going to start immediately in East Topeka, even though we're still making progress on securing the building itself?
I didn't hear the question.
You probably need to come up a little closer, Dean.
I'm sorry, I don't recall. Dean Trill. The gentleman.
Hi.
If you could repeat the question.
When you were making your presentation, I wanted to clarify, obviously we've got a building and we're going to start working on the building, but did I understand correctly that you all were going to start your feet on the ground outreach and engaging people in programming in East Topeka right away?
Well, we're offering the CDL program right now. Okay. We've not made plans.
At the tech campus?
On the Huntoon Street campus, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We're out of space in the morning of our programs. We're out of space on the Huntoon Street campus right at this moment. Are we prepared to reach out with construction trades and healthcare to the east side? Not yet, just to be honest with you. Not at this time. We do not have a location to offer on the east side. Preliminary to this decision.
I was thinking, I'd heard you say that you were going to start the feet on the ground outreach right now.
In regard to what we talked about with Tech Town,
Yes.
and bringing the outreach event to the east side, working with the Antioch Center, working with Heartland Works in terms of being able to do that outreach, that's going to get started as early as October.
Right.
Thank you.
That's the clarification.
So we'll be there with our programs from approximately 2 to 6, where people can come in and find out more information, explore, see what offerings are out there, and then we'll see where that leads us.
And you'll get them hooked in with the programming you have on, as you call it now, the 17th Street campus. And
Well, we don't have Main and Lesser Main, so we have we have 17th Street and Huntoon, and they blend together. It's a tremendously great relationship.
that's great. And I like the fact that you're starting this fall. Then as this grows, you'll already be in touch with people as well as the site develops.
We'll have financial aid there. We'll have career counseling there. We'll have programs there for the October date.
And that will be at the Antioch Center starting in October.
We believe
that's the plan.
That's the
Okay,
plan.
so people could already, as this buzz is starting to move, tell people to watch for dates and times
That's
this
correct.
fall. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Definitely more to come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Alonso. Right. Item 12.
Item 12, approval of Conza Commerce Park covenants.
Okay, for those of you, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background. Conza Fire is the commerce park that Mars is in. So currently Mars is the only company in that commerce park. And we own about 236 acres. That's the remaining portion of that commerce park that Mars is not in. So that Commerce Park has one tenant right now, and we've been working on developing some covenants just as a best practice to set standards for the development at the future sites in that Commerce Park. So we have reached a contract with Mars attorneys that they're agreeable with, and are bringing that to you to look at and to approve for a covenant and restriction on the land that is in the Commerce Park. And some highlights of that are just the restrictions really set a standard and a guideline so that we're going to assure that nice businesses that are meeting those standards are in that park. And that's a gateway to our city, so we need to keep that area nice. I think we all agree on that. The association that will be created with this covenants and restrictions document does not come into effect until 90% of that 236 acres that we have is developed. So until then, Go Topeka and Mars are the only people that are involved in this agreement. And once the 90% is reached, then an association is formed. And if there are any changes that need to be made, then that would have to be passed with a 2/3 vote of the association. Now, the good thing about this and the key takeaway is that once that association is formed, then JEDO and Go Topeka don't have to deal with the maintenance and the upkeep of the park, because that is all taken care of within the association dues. So they will have to take care of the landscaping and all the common spaces and things like that. Let's see. Okay, so also 20 years as how long this covenants will last, and then it renews every 5 years unless that's terminated by 2/3 vote. And right now, you know that the zoning is I-2, so it does allow for some heavier uses, and these restrictions kind of taper back those heavier uses to ensure that we're not going to have stinky, smelly, obnoxious things going on out there. So it's really a protection for the community and sets a standard for the future, and just helps educate everyone involved and make sure that development in that part of the city stays to a high standard.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
Entertain questions, Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Can you give us a couple examples of the offensive or obnoxious companies?
I think in the contract it's cited like sanitation, so dumps and things like that. Anything that would require an air permit, I would probably assume would be something that's obnoxious. Things that are not going to that would require an air permit, but that still fit in those I-2 zoning that would right now be allowed, but with the restrictions, then it protects everyone around from those obnoxious items.
Have we had companies or interested parties that you would fit in this category?
Yes.
In the past?
Yes. Yeah, and also another thing that it restricts is outside storage. So one of the companies that would fit into this category that wouldn't be able to develop there would need like 20 acres of outside storage for some things that don't look very nice, and you probably wouldn't want to come into the community seeing these items scattered throughout. I'm being vague, I know, I'm sorry, but it's a prior project, so I have to kind of be careful. So yeah, things that would create toxic fumes and things like that, and just maybe salvage areas scattered in a large portion. So no outside storage, things like that. It's a visual thing also.
Thank you.
I understand that if this was to pass, it would be filed with the Register of Deeds in Shawnee County. I see that we have Bill Fiander and Barry Beagle, or the respective planning work with the planning and code, and maybe just kind of reaching out to them if this is going to have any impact with Shawnee County or the city of Topeka with code or enforcements, if there's any anticipated impact with either one of those entities. Neither one jumping forward.
They're jumping up.
Mary's going to take it. You're up in a few minutes anyway, so you might as well come forward. So.
Thanks for backing me up. Barry Beagle, Shawnee County Planning Department. With regard to the restrictions and covenants, right now Mars is within the city of Topeka, so Shawnee County has no influence with regard to that. However, there was, at the time that we rezoned over 1,000 acres associated with Mars to industrial, there were specific restrictions and performance measures that do apply, and that those restrictions still apply to that zoned area that's zoned industrial that's outside of the city limits currently. But
Bill Finder, Planning Department, City of Topeka. Yes, we don't believe, first of all, I-2, we would welcome restrictions and covenants under I-2, heavy industrial zoning, particularly in a place like this, which is a high character, a major image place for our city. So although I have not reviewed them, we would welcome them, quite honestly, in an area like this that we're trying to promote. So.
Thank you. Further questions? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is there a particular reason why a covenant is better than rezoning it, something lighter?
Councilman Jensen, this is a private restriction. A zoning would be a public restriction that we would have to enforce. So whether, quite honestly, they act in the same way, it's just who enforces that. So really it's a policy decision of whether or not you want a public restriction and public enforcement or private.
We have a substantially larger hammer than does the private sector in terms of enforcement. So, I mean, does this provide them more flexibility to use this area in the way they see best fit? I mean, I guess I don't see why this is better than us just doing the zoning job that we're charged to by our citizens.
I think you could look at it being one of the same. I think as far as the restrictions could be folded into a zoning district if in fact that was the way to go, and I wouldn't see any issue with that. I think the one thing is flexibility. If something comes along, it is a we are public, and we do have our processes that we have to go through. So that is one thing to consider.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it also includes the maintenance of the areas, which is something we wouldn't do with the zoning anyway, so.
Correct.
Okay, all right, just wanted to make sure we looked at all appropriate options. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any further questions or a motion?
I move to approve the covenant.
There's a motion by Mayor Wilgas and second by Deputy Mayor De La Isla, and we did have one person sign up for this action item. Mr. Ledbetter?
Good evening, governing body. When I saw this, I had question marks going off about covenants because they run with the land, and what you're doing is, in my opinion, dramatic and not to be taken lightly. If you read the agreement carefully, it doesn't talk about just 20 years. It says that it'll be automatically renewed every 5 years. So it goes on for quite a period of time. I guess the problem I have with part of that is the high amount of votes that it would take to undo it by the members of the association. I don't know why you couldn't put 51% in there instead of 66%. It may be that several decades from now, some people would really like to undo some of these provisions, like the construction will be sustainability under Article 5, I believe. I don't have it in front of me. I'm going off my notes. You'll have an LEED certification that may not be relevant in 20 years, and it may be extremely costly to where people just walk away rather than invest in such a venture. There's several places in the agreement where it talks about 66%, which is 2/3 to change the agreement in the association, change bylaws, et cetera. So I would say, just out of caution, you might give them a 51% threshold, which wouldn't be near so high. As far as limiting noxious fumes and things like that, are we talking about trucks? Are we talking about trains? Aren't those part of an industrial park? One of the articles that I was looking at under regulations to improve, I did this very fast. I was just at the back watching it while you guys were reading this. Didn't have time earlier today. But 70% can be improved and 30% will be a buffer. You may have people that would like to have the full use of their land, not just 70%. And so what I'm getting at is down the road, 20 years from now, you may no longer want this to be part of JEDO. It may no longer be desirable to be part of Go Topeka, and you may need to just get rid of it. And all these restrictions, to me, are a lot of restrictions. I'm not sure that 20 years from now, you want all those in place when you're just simply trying to sell the land. So these covenants run with the land, which means, yes, they are being recorded at the Register of Deeds. And so if you needed to sell this land down the road, just because you didn't any longer need it in your inventory, and it hasn't sold for 7 years. I'm not saying it won't sell, but you may wish you had not restricted yourself in these ways. And as far as industrial I-2 land goes, it's pretty valuable. There's not a lot of it in Shawnee County. So, I mean, you're not trying to create a water park. I mean, it's industrial land. I understand buffers, but 30% just seems like a lot of land to give up if you're paying good money for land. Okay, I just threw those out. It's food for thought, and you'll do what you want, but I'm just giving you some caution. You're putting some serious changes in this as far as restricting it down the road, how it may be sold. Thanks.
Thank you. And I have no one else signed up for this action item. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. I almost said it, 3-0. I'm used to saying that. I caught myself. Motion carries. Next item, please.
Item 13, discussion with possible action, report of Section 2, renew and transform product improvement concerning the Garner report.
And I don't believe there will be action, but we do allow public comment on this item. So when we're finished doing the presentation, Mr. Ledbetter and Mr. Griffith are signed up for public comment. To begin with, you all have a a memo, and it's the second report. Just as a reminder, in February of this year, we approved a framework for discussion and potential action concerning the Garner Report. And since that time, Mayor Wolgast, Councilman Cohen, and I have met, and we prepared this memo and the one at our last meeting. So just to bring you up to date on the summary of Section 3, we have established the website, JEDOEcodevo.com is active. We're adding items there, and so if there are any suggestions for improvements, please forward those to us. The open communications statement is now, it's been added to the section of the JEDO operational rules, so I think Megan provided updated copies for all of you to put into your folder that hopefully you all have and bring with you every meeting. And part of the response was also looking at a time when we could take a local regional bus tour. And so we have worked with Go Topeka to look at November 9th. It's a Wednesday evening from 4 to 8 to have a bus tour to visit some of the economic development areas, maybe 712. And we will get out more information about that as we go forward. So we'll be taking a bus. And then number 4, Heartland Visioning and Go Topeka, Visit Topeka, and the Greater Topeka Chamber of Commerce have completed several videos, and it's talking about community pride. And I did some links to those videos from those websites, so hopefully you have a chance to visit those and just for information, and we'll get those linked on our website as well. So on the second page is starting the report of Section 2, and Mayor, I'll let you
Thank you.
from there.
You have there on your form, actually, I believe there are like 3 or 4 recommendations in Section 2 of the Garner Report. The first item in Section 2 was to create a plan to improve gateways into the city, including new signage and landscaping. And that is really the signs, in a sense, welcome to Topeka, that I believe there are 5 on the interstate and major highways coming into the city that we should look at. We're aware Visit Topeka has had a contract to look at wayfinding signs within the city, but also look at the gateway approaches. So we've asked Brett Otting to speak to that, give us that quick overview of the gateway signage that is there for consideration by JEDO in case, if we want to make that type of investment to support new gateway signs into the city.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
So in 2014, Roger Brooks International came to town as a consultant that worked with a group of people to do a new branding study for the community. And one of the things that came out was an improved wayfinding system, including the gateways. So that started working, progressing for the last year. When I took over in 2015, I did some research about that as well. I felt that it was a worthwhile project. Studies around the country have shown that proper wayfinding will increase retail sales on that route up to 18%. So I think that with the new mission that Visit Topeka has, which is to increase not only transient guest tax dollars in the community, but sales tax dollars as well, I think that kind of fits in our mission right there. What the handout is that you have, the very front cover shows at the bottom, it shows a price for not only the gateway signs, but all of the wayfinding signs and the number of wayfinding signs that would be needed. After that, there are 2 pictures on the front and back that show what the proposed design of the gateway signs would be. This was completed by the consultants and then came down to the final one after a couple public meetings where we had public comment. The committee that was working on the wayfinding signs narrowed this down to these final two. There were 6 different ones at the time that they came up with, 6 different designs. And so you see what those final 2 are. The next couple pages are actually the wayfinding signs. I added that as well so you can see that there's a common look and feel, not only with the gateway signs and the wayfinding signs, but also the new logo that Visit Topeka has, the chamber has, and all that, same colors, same design, same curves, and everything like that. So I will stand for any comments that you may have. The proposed right now for the gateway signs, we have received 2 bids from local landscaping companies in Topeka. The bid right now that would be probably the best as it stands right now would put $2,000 or $3,270 per sign, per gateway sign. We're looking at 7 gateway signs, so that's around $23,000 is how much we would be looking for all the new gateway signs to be installed.
A couple points. Actually, and the committee has looked at the possibility that perhaps this should say Topeka and Shawnee County. We want to read if JEDO funds would be used, it is Topeka, Shawnee County, not just the city. And so there would perhaps be a design element there that we would have to look at. And these would be would be lighted.
Yes. Yes. This proposal for that price includes lighting, and it also includes 1 year of landscaping with the option to renew for future. One reason why we wanted them to add landscaping in is because with tulips in the springtime, with the way the tulips die rather quickly during the summer and then the fall, we wanted to have some options to change out the landscaping 3 times a year to kind of match the season and the look and the feel of what's going on in the city at that time.
And this is on state right-of-way in most cases, or private?
These would be on state right-of-ways as the way I understand.
And yes, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Did you have
Well,
anything?
I know we also are going to ask for from the Metropolitan Topeka Planning Organization to speak to that aspect. But I just want to mention that it's going on.
Right, yes. Councilmember Claire?
How long does it take to get these like all installed from start to finish?
I don't know. I'm not sure right now for the answer to that. Are you talking about just the gateway signs, or?
No, all of them.
So for the whole project, if we had the funding, the consultants have talked and they feel that it could be done as early as next summer, or at least started and be finished by the fall of next year. The design work is coming to an end rather quickly. They have started receiving some bids, and they've been in discussions with engineers that would engineer these signs, and that's something that they could feel by the end, by August, let's say, of next year, that they could be completed. There's been discussion because of the price and the increase in the number of signs that we would be looking at, that there might need to be a 2-step process to be able to fund all of that. It is the committee's recommendation that if that was the case, we would wait until an extra year later and install them all at the same time. The reason being, there's a lot of differences and a lot of additions to the signage right now. We would not want to confuse people. There would be some changes to the way the signs would direct people around town compared to the ones that are currently there. And so we feel that having half of the existing signs and half of the new signs would not be a wise decision.
Okay, thank you.
Bill, do you have anything? I can't see where Bill is. There he is. Do you have anything to add? Commissioner Archer, did you?
I just wanted to ask Brett, specifically, what is JEDO being asked to fund in this package?
I believe that JEDO would be asked to be funding the gateway signage portion of that. Unless you wanted to pay for the whole thing.
I don't think so.
And I think at this point, this is for information only.
Okay.
And so as we see in the next item that we have, talking about our holistic strategic planning and getting ready for next year's budget, that this is for information purposes only tonight, but then as we consider going forward on budgets, that we would.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification,
Yes.
Madam Chair. Appreciate it.
Good evening again. If I can clarify on a couple points in terms of timing. It was asked, are these along a state highway, state interstate, national interstate? Yes, they are, for the most part. Right now, and MTPO is working with KDOT on locations. A couple we would like to move closer in, and some that are not there right now. That being said, they have put a hold on anything on the interstate system. They have to come up with a policy that the federal highways will bless and approve. And so we are at a hold on anything along I-70, 335 or 470. Actually, we don't have anything on 470. So 335 and I-70 would be the ones that would be affected. We have 2 on I-70. We think we could do we have one on 335, and we could probably do another one. So that's on hold, and so what Brett was talking about is we would probably want to sync that up so that we do them at once. And so we are waiting to really on them, and we're kind of, they're not even, they have to work on the policy first. So that is a holding pattern on those.
Okay, thank you. Further questions? All right, thank you so much, Brett, for being here. And Bill, you're not off the hook yet. You have one more section. Okay, so item 1B is talking about high-speed internet. It is our recommendation that we seek a public-private partnership to explore to increase access to our community to enhance broadband. There was another recommendation that was given by Garner, but we highly suggest that a public-private partnership be explored. The Intergovernmental Cooperation Council participated in a pilot project and with the Kansas Department of Commerce, and now the Mayor's Task Force is continuing that work. And so we hope to have a RFP by December, I'm hoping, and that would be discussed for a consultant to assist to us to help navigate us to close that digital divide. We had allocated, I believe, in the budget there was $250,000 for broadband, and so we don't have the language, we don't have that RFP yet, but look for that to come forward out of the task force. Any questions on that?
If I could add.
Yeah.
As you know, as it states there, the Garner report stated provide public, free, high-speed internet access. We are not interested in providing public, free internet access. This has caused some concern in the community that, JEDO's, we'll just wait, we're going to get free internet access. No, that's sort of I think, an incorrect statement, or at least we interpret that's not really the goal of the JEDO board, to provide free internet access. And the other point is that we have met with Cox and AT&T representatives, so that they are involved in the process as we go forward, so that there is, everyone is welcome at the table. We're not doing anything here that going in any particular direction, but the current providers certainly are welcome to be a part of this.
And we're hearing very strongly from the school districts about lack of broadband in certain areas, and so school districts are very involved in this conversation, along with the city and the county, the library, and as you said, the providers as well. So more to come. Cool factor? Mayor, I'll let you go. I think you're cool factor.
Oh, am I the cool factor?
You're cool.
The Garner report said to create a cool factor in the core business district that would encourage families and young professionals to live, work, and play there. And information will be shared from Downtown Topeka, Inc., and some others regarding this.
See, Vince, yes.
Mr. Cool.
Mr. Cool.
We have Vince, Vince, yeah, Vince, and then Gabriel O'Shea is here from Fast Forward as well.
Well, that's cool. If you wouldn't mind passing this around, I'd appreciate it. I wanted to share with you a new piece that we just made this week to show the cool things that are happening downtown. Tonight, it is being shared with graduating fellows from the Sunflower Foundation from all over the state who are in town and touring our downtown on a walking tour. Tomorrow, I will be using it in Wichita. I will be speaking on a panel for Leadership Kansas, along with downtown Lawrence and downtown Wichita. I think that's cool. I'm going to tell you a few cool things. I think very cool. Mr. Garner talked about this cool factor in the core business district that will encourage families and young professionals to live, work, and play down here. One of his suggestions was to adopt ordinances that encourage landlords to improve their properties, encourage home ownership by enticing families and young professionals to move there and making infrastructure improvements to increase overall property values. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to read a few things we've done to accomplish that. First of all, as you all know, the new infrastructure financed by the city was completed in 2015. I'm rather surprised that Mr. Garner wasn't aware of that project, apparently, as he made his recommendations. The demand for residential downtown exceeds supply. We get calls all the time from people wanting to live downtown, and that is cool. The Assumption Grade School is being converted into 21 new loft apartments. At least 16 of those have already been leased. We created 3 historic districts in downtown, which has allowed investors to reap the benefits of historic tax credits from the state and feds. The city has a neighborhood revitalization program, which allows tax rebates for improvements on buildings and residences. And DTI administers the city's grant program, which provides funding for permanent improvements to downtown buildings, which also is enhanced. And we've established a new downtown neighborhood improvement association. So I think we've done a lot with regard to that particular suggestion by Mr. Garner. Then he said, we need a cool factor. So I don't know what he means by cool, but let me tell you a few things that I think are cool. The redevelopment project is complete. That was the #1 priority of the community in their visioning process. And of course, the private sector committed $3.8 million to enhance what the city's doing. We have mid-block arches, pavilions, pocket parks, statues, lots of things. I think that's pretty cool. All the empty buildings on Kansas Avenue have been purchased. I think I've totaled 26. I think that's pretty cool. And they're all purchased by local investors. The Cyrus Hotel is being constructed. We'll have a wonderful new restaurant. Other restaurants and bars are planned for downtown. Deborah and Randy Clayton intend to construct a new building where HHB Barbecue had been. We've created over 35 new events for downtown. Our goal has always been to make downtown the entertainment district for the community. We have noon concerts. We have Second Saturday concerts. We have jazz festivals, which is going to be October 8th, by the way. We have Brewfests, Touch a Truck, which brought 12 to 15,000 families downtown a couple weeks ago. Movies on the Capitol lawn, Cruise in the Capitol Car Show, and we've even had somebody jumping cars on a motorcycle downtown. That's cool. Topeka's downtown was selected by Main Streets Across America as the state's top downtown that represents the values of where businesses, families, and individuals come together to support each other, to live, work, and play. I think that's cool. DTI was awarded the Waldo Haywood Award last week by the Topeka Civic Theater for outstanding contributions to promoting the arts in our community. As I said, I'm on a panel tomorrow to talk about our great downtown for Leadership Kansas. And really, one of the most important things, and this is a cool factor, could be, is the creation of a downtown plaza. We've been awarded funding from the transient guest tax, and we're very well on our way to having plans to finalize that, which we'll bring to you. And this is something hopefully JEDO will be in support of. It's very important for our community and certainly for downtown. And of course, we have the most beautiful state capitol in our downtown. So the best part of it is it's only going to get better. And again, I don't know what Mr. Garner thought was a cool factor. I think if he was here today and saw our progress, he would think we've made great progress towards that. But all of these things that I've told you, in my opinion, are cool. And I think we have a cool factor already working to benefit downtown and this whole community. I'd be happy to answer any cool questions you might have for me.
Any questions? Yes.
I had a question at the end of the last session, and actually it could cross over. Part of the first, though, I think it's cool. It's just awesome what everybody's done. One of the proposals that we had, maybe where this broadband thing came from, was the idea of free Wi-Fi access in downtown, that was something that would make it cool as well. How are we on that?
Well, I know there was a lot of discussion before the project began. There were conduits that were going to be part of the project that were eliminated due to cost. Other than that, we're certainly desirous of having the Wi-Fi in the downtown, as many communities do across the country.
Well, they were eliminated also because they go down alleys instead of under the street, right?
I guess so. Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Westar Energy provides free Wi-Fi in their Pocket Park. It's available for everyone 24 hours a day. Please enjoy.
That's cool. And phone charging.
And phone charging, that's right. And that, for my generation, is cool.
All right. Thank you, Vince.
Thank
and
you.
I think, speaking of young professionals, we have Fast Forward, Gabriel O'Shea, to say a few words.
Good evening, JEDO board members. My name is Gabriel O'Shea. I'm the executive director of Fast Forward. Our mission is to attract and retain young talent to the greater Topeka area. Our organization is a workforce initiative for retention and attraction of young talent. We are in strategic planning mode right now. We have an amazing leadership team full of diverse, dynamic, very successful young professionals who are right now behind the scenes doing a lot of work that not many people are seeing, but we're putting a lot of work, a lot of energy, a lot of passion, and we're creating a lot of things that we're going to be rolling out in the coming months. We are excited to announce a big announcement October 21st that we're going to have a concert. It's going to be called Forge Fest, and it is going to be there. We're going to have a very big announcement, and this announcement is going to be because of 6 benefactors. Those 6 benefactors are Barlin and West, Capital Federal, Advisors Excel, Westar Energy, Federal Home Loan Bank, and Washburn Universities. Those are our main sponsors, and because of that, we're going to have a very big announcement at that event. So Forge Fest, October 21st. And last, I just want to kind of mention, as elected officials, I would recommend you use our organization. We're over 1,000 engaged young professionals that are energized, that are passionate about our community, that would love to get involved and help out. Feedback, ideas, initiatives, we're all about that. So I'm open for any questions you guys may have.
Thank you, Gabriel. Any questions? All right. Thank you. Okay. Yes.
The next recommendation was to conduct a countywide community improvement planning effort that looks at assets and neighborhood planning by city and county districts. And actually, each member of the JEDO board was to lead a planning effort within their own district to conduct a long-range planning development of how each of our districts could provide better economic development. Our general consensus was, we don't know that we want to do this, and actually in conversation, we'd like to have the planning directors of the city and county just briefly describe their reaction and thoughts about something along this line. That's totally setting them up to say something that's appropriate.
It's appropriate, okay. Well, if I may, I'll just briefly describe that we are doing a lot of planning by district. And in the city, we start out at a very high level with our overall land use and growth management plan, where we prioritize where our growth and investment should be. We work our way down into our transportation planning, our long-range transportation plan, which we're doing right now, our historic preservation plan, where we are working with a number of neighborhoods in the districts on surveys, as well as new historic districts, and identifying assets. And then we get down to the real neighborhood level, where we have 13 different neighborhood plans that I think are in 6 different council districts that we've worked on and updated over the years, and we target funds for those as well for implementation for housing and infrastructure. And then we started something new actually this year as well. We do neighborhood assessments. Those folks that we can't get to and do full-fledged neighborhood plans, we've gone out and started one. Councilmember Cohen may know of Meadowcrest area. We started an assessment there, just kind of a shot in the arm of kind of a quick what we can do and an overall condition survey. So we've tried to go to all different levels and prioritize our planning efforts. But that gives you an overview. I don't know if that's what they were looking for, what you're looking for, but that's what we have. Okay.
Thanks, Bill. Barry?
Barry Beagle, Shawnee County Planning Department. First of all, it's a privilege to be able to appear before the board. With regard to planning within the unincorporated area, I would like to say that we are in the same position as the city of Topeka with regard to its land use planning efforts. We are embarking on a project to develop a comprehensive plan for the unincorporated area, and we've just crossed the threshold of getting that project started. What I've handed out to you is an overview of our comprehensive planning process, so it would give you an idea of what our scope and objectives are and what we hope to accomplish as a result of it. The specific purpose of the comprehensive plan is to give us a 20-year vision, looking ahead beyond today and charting a positive course towards the future. And as a result of implementing this plan, hopefully we will achieve things in the community, especially within the unincorporated area, that are beneficial for the community in terms of population growth, housing, natural resource conservation, protection of agricultural farmlands, et cetera. We have a lot of work to do. We are undergoing stakeholder reviews today, and they have been quite successful. We've had 3 steering committee meetings with regard to this effort, which have helped us to define what some of the specific issues are that we're trying to address. Thus far, the steering committee has identified 4 key themes that we're going to concentrate on, economic development being one of them, and understanding what role Shawnee County is going to play with regard to our economic development strategies, land use, and what types of land use activities we're going to accommodate within the unincorporated area, natural resources and natural resource conservation, and then finally transportation infrastructure. I wish I could give you a lot of detail at this point with regard to that and how this could potentially play into what has been referenced in the Garner report, but I can indicate to you that with economic development being one of the principal strategies or themes that we're looking at, we will be very sensitive to that. So that's about as much as I can report at this time.
Okay, thank you, Barry. Questions?
Well, I would say in conclusion on this recommendation, we have 2 fine, outstanding planning departments in the city and county doing an excellent job. They certainly hear the needs of the citizens and of the elected officials and respond to them. And I question whether it's of our recommendation that we want to add developing a plan for each of our districts. Specifically, I think that's not in the best use of the resources of the city and the county.
Great. Okay. Thank you both for being here. Very much appreciated. Councilmember Cohen, I think we just have one more item, item 3.
Thank you, Chair. JEDO should continue to acquire real estate for economic and growth opportunities. And Go Topeka plans to review best practices for land acquisition and economic development. And Go Topeka will look at our competitors' land strategies and visit with local private developers to create a land strategy for Shawnee County. And Go Topeka does not have plans to acquire any more land in the near future. And I was on the Go Topeka board for a time last year, and that was really interesting because I got to see that all come about where they did turn down the interest in the land. So that was very good.
Again, these are, this is all part of being responsive to the Garner report and making those members of our community aware that there is a lot of activity going on in planning and Visit Topeka and the MTPO. So if there are no questions, I think we will move on. There's no action on these items. We do have one person signed up for public comment. Mr. Ledbetter? Were there any questions, though, or follow-up? And just a note while he's walking up, in December, then, we will tackle Section 1 of the Garner Report and bring those recommendations forward.
Evening, governing body. Just to, first off, make some comments in reference to the Garden Report. One of the things that struck me in reading it was that one of the comments was the city wasn't showing very well. And so I thought I'd do my own little mini Garden Report over the last couple months, and I've been driving around the city, and I agree. And I really hope that as part of economic development, our governing bodies understand the importance of code enforcement and protecting neighborhoods. We haven't had a meeting in JEDO since May 18th, and CAG, an organization that I helped form because we were very concerned about what we perceived to be a lack of transparency of funds, of tax money with JEDO, with economic development. We had a forum in July. We had both county commissioners participate. It was very well attended. It was very well publicized. A lot of tough questions were answered by all the parties. And, but we've kind of gotten a little bored because when I ask Matt about information, I get answers now. I get truth. It's refreshing. And when I talk to other board members with the chamber and Go Topeka, they just answer questions. They ask me questions. We have a discourse. We talk about ideas. They go, wow, you got some good ideas. And I said, all I wanted to do was come to the table and talk to you. But I had to have some other things first, which was we had to have truth and openness. Now, since we hadn't had a meeting since May 18th, on May 15th, there were some 990s released. And anybody that's read these already knows what I'm going to say, but I'm going to put these in the record. Now, what I have is growth organization 2015, and what this reflects is money spent last year, not this year under Matt or current, the current configuration we've got. I've also got the Chamber of Commerce Foundation, and what I've done is I've attached pages and cover pages. And the relevant part that I'm just going to put into the record so we can finally close this chapter, and I told people in my group I would just go ahead and get this into the record, is the departing president, Doug Kinzinger, did get a severance package of $130,000 last year. So that's in the record now. If anybody wants to see it, they can look at it themselves. I hope that closes the chapter. We'll see. But I do appreciate people working with us, people being candid, people being honest, and I just like not having to file a CORA and have that battle. Not that I'm afraid of a battle, but I did get what I wanted eventually through a CORA request. It wasn't done through court. I think some of you know how I did it, and that's fine. The point is, we don't have to hide things. This is tax money. And so I appreciate that change of direction. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. We do have Scott Griffiths.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge Joe's show of cooperation and better discourse between Joe and the people that he represents and the Chamber and Go Topeka organizations. I think there's a lot better communication. I would like to also, for the record, the monies that Joe identified in the 990, that was paid from private dollars. That was not, none of that came from the public dollars. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And the next item then, item 14.
Item 14, Topeka and Shawnee County Holistic Economic Development Strategy.
I know Matt and Keith are walking up to the podium, but just to make you all aware, in our operational rules, in December of each year, the JEDO board shall establish the economic priorities for the coming year. So given that, I'll give the floor to you.
Sure. Well, kind of following, Joe talked a little bit about war and battles and things like that. I have a quote, and the quote is, all men can see these tactics whereby I conquer, but what none can see is the strategy out of which victory is evolved. And that's Sun Tzu, which is the author of The Art of War. And so I'm here to talk to you a little bit more about strategy. I've mentioned it several times. I know I probably sound like a broken record. I have mentioned to you before that I believe that we have a lack of strategic plan, and I believe that we have lack of metrics. I do applaud Topeka and Shawnee County and JEDO in 2015 for bringing Garner Economics to perform a review of how economic development could be done better in Topeka and Shawnee County. As I look through that report, and I do quite often, in the report that I review, it was strongly recommended that we create performance metrics as part of our ongoing strategy. And it also said that we should work differently this time by having an edict that actionable and measurable plans be brought forth, followed by a review of its success and the implementation of these plans. So we are working with a 35-person steering committee in the community. It is chaired by Keith Warda, who you will hear from shortly, Commissioner Bueller, and Mayor Wolgast. We have retained Market Street Services, which is an organization that was founded in 1997 and has been a trusted partner in more than 106 community strategies in 34 different states. You do hear the word holistic economic development strategy coming out of our mouths a lot. I think early on we thought, well, we need to be the best contractor possible for economic development. So in order to do that, we need to have a good strategic plan and good metrics. But as we started visiting with folks, they really thought that we should have a more holistic, really more of a global view of economic development, not just what Go Topeka does. Market Street, I could name dozens of communities that they're working with, but they're communities like Austin, Texas, Des Moines, Iowa, Nashville, Tennessee, and Tulsa, Oklahoma. And finally, I think part of this holistic strategy, and one of my favorite parts of this, is the cost associated with this work is being funded by the private sector. It's being funded by the United Way, the Topeka Community Foundation, and the Topeka Shawnee County Library and Heartland Visioning are all funding this effort. So again, we don't have to use public dollars. I do want to point to a slide that we have that talks a little bit about our process. We did start this in August, and we went through a community engagement process. I'm going to let Keith tell you a little bit more about that. In September soon, we'll have data from that, and I'm anxious to share that. But this project really goes through March. So I say that to say that I really think that we need to work on developing strategy and not spend a lot of time brainstorming special projects right now. Let's get our strategy developed before we start brainstorming special projects. Keith.
Thanks, Matt. I just want to add on to what he said, and first of all, recognize my tri-chairs, my co-tri-chairs. I've never heard of tri-chairs before, but anyway, Commissioner Bueller and Mayor Wolgast also are very involved in this, and I just want to express my excitement about the direction we're going. I think we've got a great consultant. Market Street is really doing an outstanding job, and we've really got a broad-based participation in this. So Matt mentioned the sponsors. We've got several different sponsors that are involved and have put forth money to be involved, but also our steering committee, which represents at least 20 private businesses within our community, as well as several other organizations. There's broad-based support to what we're doing at this point in time. We're well underway. We kicked this off and we're into phase 1, phase 2 right now. We've received a draft report from Market Street. We're going to be considering that over the next week, and our steering committee will be looking at that. So the first phase was community engagement. One of the big parts of that was an online survey. I assume all of you participated in that. We've got some facts up on the screen right now relative to that survey. Nearly 2,300 respondents to that. And I just talked with somebody from Market Street today. They said they expect that type of response, or they're getting that type of response from communities that are 4 times the size of Topeka's. So I think it really demonstrates a lot of enthusiasm for people within our community and people wanting to get involved in it. So that's been a part of the community engagement. They've also submitted the regional scorecards and community assessment. That's the phase 2. We're going to go right into strategy and develop specific actions, which will be a part of the implementation. I think that's the part that I'm really excited about. We're talking about actions which have responsible parties, which have costs associated with that, which have deadlines associated with them, and certainly we're going to develop metrics by which we can judge our performance going forward. So we hope to have it all wrapped up by the end of March next year. So I'm very excited about the direction we're going in. I think it's really good for our community. Be happy to answer any questions anybody might have at this point.
Any questions for Keith? No? No. Councilmember Hill.
Mine is not so much a question, but a comment to you all, because this really came together under your leadership. I mean, we had this general goal that I wasn't aware that this whole 35-person board had come together and that this survey was underway until it was announced. And I think that's amazing. I think it's great. But so many things are moving at the same time, and really appreciate your participation and leadership.
Thank you.
Very good. Anything else, Matt? Okay. Great. Thank you. All right, next item is for public comment. Item 15.
Item 15, public comment.
And we have Mr. Ledbetter? Oh, okay. Alonso Harrison? Thank you. Lonnie Williams? Okay. Carol Marple? And after that, after Ms. Marple, then we have Lazone Grays and Scott Griffiths, so you could be.
Thank you very much. I'm going to echo a lot of Joe's words. I would really like to thank Matt for his willingness to answer questions. He's been very forthcoming, and it's extremely refreshing. I was glad to come tonight and see some things happening here. There were some excellent comments. I think the Small Business Incentive Program sounds like a great program, but I agreed with all of you. I like to see names. I mean, numbers, you can write down a number, but if you've got a name to go with the number, then you tend to believe the number more. And that is probably one of my biggest disagreements with some of the presentations that we've had, because they're just numbers. They don't really mean anything if you don't have anything to follow through with.
urge you all again to listen to Mr. Gray. He's has some very good words that we should listen to and put some practice to. I've asked before, and I don't think I'm just the only person, but I would really like to see the agenda made back here, printed for the public. I think that would be a big help and a big service to us. This survey, I mean, it's nice, but I think 85.1% white, I don't think that's a very representative survey. And 7.2% have a high school diploma or less. You know, I don't think it's very representative of our community. But that's just my own comment. And we're going to agree to disagree on a lot of stuff still. I mean, we're coming more together with agreements, but it was brought up, those private dollars again, and I just happened to have printed this off from the Topeka Chamber website today. I'll read it and I'll quit. Go Topeka is funded by two sources. Go Topeka receives funds from a countywide half-cent economic development sales tax, which generates around $5 million annually to use in the attraction of new businesses to the community, expansion of existing businesses, growing new businesses, and acquiring and managing assets necessary to support and retain primary jobs. The dispension of the money is overseen by the Joint Economical Development Organization, comprised of elected officials from Shawnee County and the city of Topeka. Go Topeka is also funded by private investors who have invested over $4 million from 2013 to 2017. I don't think that's happened yet. To augment the sales tax revenue and provide a solid economic development fund that will continue to help Shawnee County continue to grow. I think if you look at the 990s for 2015, you'll see some of those private funds were down quite a bit. I myself think that this is the biggest problem. We still are dealing with private funds. $4 million, when you break that out in 5 years or 4 years, is nothing compared to what the taxpayer is putting in. And I do believe that to continue to say as a cop-out, it's private dollars, it just doesn't cut it. Thank you.
Thank you. Lizone, Gray?
Thank you again for your time this evening, members of the JEDO. What I'm sharing here, I thank Mrs. Stapleton for the acknowledgement on the trade portion. You know, that has been a big deal there. And I'm very supportive of the program. I'm supportive of expansion and moving forward on the things that have been talked about. I'm sharing with you some things that I've probably shared before. I know I've said before what I would think would be an addition to. Just providing a training program within itself is not the cure. There are other things, just like a chair has to have 4 legs, that can put together a good program, and not just something up to satisfy the moment, but something that can build out for the long term. I've mentioned numerous times and have shared in the past as best practices, transitional jobs program, and which is something that I would think I would like to see as being considered somewhere in the future as a part of what the mix is, so that as individuals are getting this type of training, they should also be getting on-hand access to. That is not always made available in a training program. You go to class, you finish, you get certification. As coming out of the mayor's neighborhood summits, there was mention by several people that why not have individuals be doing work in the neighborhoods, fixing up the neighborhood. Those are the type of community service projects, the type of hands-on projects that would be good for students in a trade skills type of program. The different type of certifications that I have always suggested, I think that they'll probably have some of them there. Those are the type of things that will increase the employability of individuals. Before I get too far, and Scott Smathers is gone, I want to thank him because if he was very open in listening to me and paving the way within Go Topeka as far as getting this up to where it is right now. I have nothing but good things to say about Matt and Mrs. Washington and their whole crew. There has been a great change that has gone on within that body, within your contractor. I know after I'd left before, when I left the podium, there was a comment, from my previous comment. And I just want to mention that as I said before, it's nothing against the individual contractors. It was just I was having some problems understanding the wording in the interlocal agreement. I'm not here just to say anything, but I'm also here to learn. If there is a legal question, I would hope that a person would ask their legal attorney, their legal counsel. And I was asking a legal question so that me and others could understand that is the contract to be literally or liberally construed when it talks about the dedication of that 10%, and who is that population that is supposed to be dedicated to? And so I understand all the great things, but there was more finite point of question that I was trying to get answered so that as you deliberate in the future on those funds there, that you could be looking at them just as well. So back to this last document here, and I've shared everything that I have with Matt. I will continue to share. I will continue to work with Matt and his crew because I believe that they, as everyone, are looking forward to great things happening. I would also like to be a part of that broadband, conversation because these are things, as you know, Mayor, that have been very dear to me, and I've come up and spoke with them on a consistent basis. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Scott Griffith?
I respectfully declare. Thank you.
Okay. And that's the end of public comment. Just as a reminder, our next meeting is December 14th at 6 o'clock. And so there's no other business before us. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Okay.